standing all-time high at a $1.02 trillion amount. And again, that's because so many adults have so much money in debt. And that's because we don't have enough in our savings, right? And so I think we all think, okay, of course we need to save, but I think we forget to put it as a priority. We don't have to be scared of saving. We can start small, but we have to start building that savings, okay? The objectives of today's session are a few different ones. We're going to be understanding the importance of budgeting. We're going to learn how to create one really easy in 5 steps. I think that if it's something is really easy and you know how to incorporate it into what you're doing every day, it's going to be something that sticks. We're identifying needs versus wants, which sound rather easy, but the truth is that many of us don't stop to think, do I really need this? Or is it something that I want and I just want to splurge on myself? And can I do it right now? Prioritizing and mapping out expenses, which is something that we all need to be doing constantly, right? Because we have bills that come in and out every single month, and we have an income. So we need to make sure that our income is enough to cover all these expenses and so, you know, and still have some for savings. Plugging spending leaks. We're going to go into what a spending leak is. And ultimately putting our budget into action. And, you know, this is all wonderful if we learn how to do these things, but if we don't put a plan into action, just like anything else in life, you know, you can learn all these amazing things, but if we're not doing them, it's not going to work, right? So let's start first with a budget or a spending plan. And again, the name, some people call it spending plan. They don't want to say the word budget. They feel a little bit constricted, like if you're on a diet. So they don't like to say budget because they feel like they're being, you know, tied to something. And some people just don't like that feeling. So they call it a spending plan. We're going to organize ourselves and what we're going to spend on a monthly basis. A budget, again, is a plan that helps you manage your money by helping you balance the income that you're receiving from a job, or chores or anything that you do to make some money with expenses that you might have. Let's say you're helping your parents pay your cell phone bill, or maybe you have a car already and you pay your insurance on that car. So you're kind of managing both, right? The money that you're making in and the expenses that you have to pay, any obligations you have. Again, it's an itemized summary of what your income is and your expenses are for a period of time. The one we're going to do today is a month. So that's what we're going to stick with. Again, a budget is not meant to be restrictive. Because again, if it's something is super restrictive, we're not going to stick with it. But in reality, if we do stick with it, we're going to get the most out of our money. We're going to be planning what to do with that money instead of kind of realizing that we don't have enough. Because we are planning, this helps us, number one, plan for major financial changes. If you guys are going to go away to college, you're saving for that. Maybe avert a potential finance crisis. Like, look, many of us have been, you know, left without jobs in COVID. There's a lot of people furloughed, unemployed. And so with savings, a lot of families were able to hold on over until somebody else found another job, another position. But ultimately, really, it'll give you a peace of mind. You know, I know many of your students, but mom and dad, you know, they worry about these things. You know, we worry about those things and how we're going to make sure that we have everything covered. And so it's really about having you and your parents have some peace of mind. So this is a quote that I like to share, and it's kind of funny, but it's really not. It's a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And I think that's what happens. If you don't have a budget, if you don't have a spending plan, you're always wondering, well, I just got paid. You know, where did my money go? Where did it all go? I just got paid and I can't seem to to catch a break. It's going from one pay to the other. And I think that's what we need to do. And it's really us setting a plan and being consistent, which is going to help us. Again, I want to make this super easy, and that way you guys can incorporate it into your life, and that way you kind of are consistent and stick with it. So number one, these are the 5 steps. The first step is to add up all of your income. The second would be to pay yourself first. So this is saving, so this is right there, number 2. That means that you are a priority. You need to fix yourself. Like if you are an expense, your savings account should be an expense. It's something that's a priority for you to do. Number 3, prioritizing and mapping out all of the expenses that you have. Number 4, checking for these spending leaks, and we're going to go into that. And number 5, again, it's taking action and creating your budget. And the document that B and Umberto shared is that monthly budget analysis, and you can use that. That's an Excel file. You can plug in all of your expenses. You can change the name of the fields for it to be, make sense for whatever it is your situation is. But I would use that. So what's income? That's the first step, adding up all your income, your wage, your salary from your job. If you're self-employed or have your own business, that's going to be the income you make from there. If you get help from your family, any interest that you earn, child support income, alimony, public assistance, grant or scholarship money, loans, any kind of money that you're making in, we need to start counting it as income. So we're counting it and we're making sure that we know what's happening on a monthly basis. Number 2, pay yourself first. So this is where we say save, save, save. And I understand everybody kind of feels like, well, I'm not making enough to save. And you don't have to start by saving half of your check, right? You have to start saving at least 10% of what you're making on a monthly basis should go into a savings account. It is suggested to have anywhere from 3 to 6 months worth of your income on there. The reality is not everybody can do that, to start. So we start small. We treat it as a fixed expense. So we don't touch that. Every single month we treat it as a bill, and that is going to savings. Don't borrow from this account. Don't take it unless it's an emergency. If we treat it with that kind of, like if we're so secure about it and safe about it, it's going to grow and that it's going to be there when we need it. Okay. Again, restrict it for emergencies, or when you've arrived, or at the amount that you're saving for something in particular. But really, you should always be putting towards that account, and at least 10%. The next step is to prioritize and map out all of your expenses. And again, there's different types of expenses. There's fixed, variable, and periodic. The fixed expenses are the ones that we know what they're going to be every single month, right? So these are the ones that are not controlled by you. These are the ones like a mortgage payment or a car payment that's been decided by the financial institution or the borrower, whoever you bought a car from, that tells you your monthly amount. So that's something you can't control. So every month you need to have this amount of money in the bank to pay that, or the credit union account, your checking account to pay that bill. The next one is variable. So this is where you do have a role in this. This is gas, groceries. These are the common expenses that we have. Uber Eats, all of these different little expenses that add up, but you can control that. So maybe you're not putting that much gas in your car and you're carpooling with a friend, or maybe if you're walking somewhere or riding the bike or whatever it is, but you can try to see how we can kind of minimize those expenses yourself. And the last one is periodic. The periodic expenses are those that happen throughout the year. So maybe an oil change, maybe, Christmas gifts. These are things that we need to account for because they do happen. And so money has to come out of your budget for it. But maybe instead of waiting for that time of the year and to kind of figure it out, why don't we incorporate it during the entire year? So when you're mapping out your 12 months, you're saying, listen, so for Christmas, I'm known to spend $600 or $200, whatever your budget is. Start dividing those amounts and put them in your savings for every single month. So that way, by the time Christmas rolls around, you have a savings account ready with that fund for Christmas, and that doesn't catch you by surprise. And then you end up having to tap into a credit card. And at the credit union, we do have savings accounts. You can name them whatever you want them to be, and that's going to help you. You can even take them up automatically, which is another tip that I like to tell everybody. Automatic, transfers. You don't even feel it, guys. $10, $20, $25, and before you know it, it adds up. A little point that we always like to talk about is needs versus wants. And I feel that, I think when I talk to parents or even high school students, they tell me, oh, I know exactly what a need or want it. And I say, do you really take the time to think and say, do I really need this? Do I need this right now? And I like to tell everybody to sleep on it. If you really want something, wait. Wait. And before you make that big expense, kind of wait, take your time. And see if a week or 2 months goes by and you still want it. If you still want it, why don't you plan to save for it, right? And you give yourself a goal. You say, this costs, because I know everybody has AirPods, and I always talk about it, but they're quite expensive. So if you make yourself like a little goal and say, I really want those, but I'm going to work for them, right? So you're giving yourself a goal, and you can kind of break it down. Even if your goal is 4 months, but you can break it down and you can contribute every single month or every single 2 weeks, every time you get paid to that goal. And it's much sweeter when you arrived at your goal and you can buy what you really want instead of having to tap into a credit card, get into trouble, forget to make your payments. And it ends up rolling over and over and over. And then you're going to get into some trouble. So we're going to try to avoid those things. Again, I always like to say to track your expenses. I'm a little bit old school. I use Excel. And I know it's so easy right now to lose track of like payments. We use Venmo, Cash App, Zelle. We buy things so easily. Amazon just makes it so easy. Target, curbside pickup, like anything to purchase things on a whim, right? You like it, you see an ad for it, and you make a purchase, and that's it. It's already coming over to your house in 2 days. And I feel like because it's so easy, we lose track of these expenses. And so even though you think it's just $20 or $25, all of these things add up. And so what I challenge you to do is kind of like take a look at your week. And I'm telling you, only a week, and even a week is a lot. But look at what your like 3 to 5 days are spending. Are you stopping at Starbucks every day? Are you, taking, you know, the sun pass fast lane when you're going somewhere. Like, you know, we just got to think about these little things that add up. And that's what's happening. A lot of us right now, because it's so easy to spend money, we're not looking at these things. And so I just really kind of want you guys to look at your account. You know, there's two types of people: the person that doesn't really look at their checking account because they don't want to see it, or the one that's looking to make sure that they're on track, right? And that's what I want you guys to be. I want you guys to be on top of your money, on top of your expenses, understand what's going on, make sure that you understand the fees, you know, whatever it is that you're paying at your financial institution. You know, don't spend money to use your money, right? Make the best decision for yourself when you're using, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a checking account or even a credit card. Make sure you're looking at all the fees that come along with having it. I like to tell everybody to map out your expenses, and this is something really simple. But again, this is for somebody who's already has some type of income coming in. You know, I'm old school again. I use a calendar. I'm a paper like calendar person, but there's everything right now, right? You use a calendar on your phone. You make sure that you know what payday is, right? I'm sure everybody has payday really big and bold on your calendar, but make sure that you're also accounting for which check is going to cover your bills. You know, at this age, you might be contributing to a credit card that you might have opened already, or maybe your cell phone payment or car insurance. I would just keep track of what check is going to go to what part of your check is going to go into savings. Automatic transfers, again, I think is a great tip. It's a really easy way to have something go swiftly into your savings and you won't even feel it. But again, make sure that you're paying attention to all of the different fees that go along with using all of these things. But plan your month in advance. Again, this helps you avoid all kinds of problems and makes you avoid those non-sufficient funds fees that you might get at a bank or credit union. So let's just make sure that we're on top of it and try to avoid any of these additional fees. Step 4 is plug your spending leaks. And again, when I talk about a spending leak, I mean the little things that you spend money on a daily basis that you just don't think, you know, is a big deal. And I talk about coffee. And again, this is a good one for just about everybody, because if you don't drink coffee, I'm sure you found like a venti mocha, you know, white chocolate mocha drink that you like at Starbucks or something. Then they have a drink for everything, right? A unicorn drink, St. Patty's drink, like you name it, and they have something that's gonna wheel you into to Starbucks, and you're gonna buy it. And they're not inexpensive. They're expensive, and it adds up. And you go and you get excited, and you have a cake pop or whatever it is, and it adds up. And I did this really simple example. So it's $5 a day. No big deal. $20 a week. $80 a month in coffee, or almost $1,000 a year in coffee. Like, what could you have done with that $1,000? What could you have done with that $960? I can think of a million things I'd rather have done with the $960, right? And so those are the things that I challenge you to think. And I know that you're like, but I love Starbucks, or I love my little Target trips, you know, and me too. But when you look at the bigger picture of what you can get for that money, you know, that's where I challenge you guys. And I think this really is for all ages. You know, I talk about myself, I'm a mom, and I do things, you know, I go to Target and you think it's no big deal, but anywhere you go, you know, you're going to spend money. And what I try to do, and I talk about planning your month in advance. And sometimes, you know, I know with COVID, it's easier to kind of do the ordering online and do curbside pickup. And you know what? You know yourself. I know myself. If I start walking the aisles at a store, I'm going to start getting more things that I need. So maybe it's easier for me to do that, right? Make a list, stay to the necessities, and that's what I get. And it's all about planning ahead. So again, take a look at what you're spending. Look at your little spending leaks. For me or somebody else, it might be Target. For somebody else, it might be Starbucks. But challenge yourself to eliminate one of these charges a week and go from there. And then you're going to see how much extra money you have, whether it's, you know, some people don't even carry cash. So maybe it's that. Take out some money and say, I'm only going to allow myself to spend $10 a week on coffee. And once that $10 runs out, we don't have it anymore. And so I would challenge you, to make one little small change. And I know it's going to be hard, but I challenge you, and you're going to see the difference there. Ultimately, the last step I like to say is to take action. And really, without this, there's nothing. We've learned about what budget is, what it can do for you, how you can, save money, how you can make it work for you, account, with interest. But if we're not really putting, pen to paper, or, filling it out and making sure that we're tracking things, it's not going to work for us. So we're going to add up all of our expenses, right? Whether it's housing expenses, food, transportation, personal. And again, for every stage of your life, it's different and it varies. But add up all these expenses, okay? Then you're going to put a line item for your savings, because we're going to count it as a fixed expense, guys. We're going to create the savings as a priority for ourselves. And then we're going to list out the average monthly income, right? Which is step number 2. Then you're going to subtract monthly expenses from the monthly income, which provides you an amount that you have enough to pay off debt if you already have some. So this image right here is what your budget analysis looks like. The one I sent to you is on Excel. You can change all of those names. So if you don't pay mortgage, maybe you're just helping your mom with some money, for your room or for your cell phone, whatever it is, you can change. The beauty of Excel is that you can fill it out and it'll add it all up for you. So you're going to have what your monthly living expenses are, but make sure to fill it all out. Make sure to put an amount there for savings because that's a priority. And ultimately, you're going to subtract your expenses from your income. It's going to be your take-home pay, your partner's take-home pay if you have a spouse. If you don't, you just put your take-home pay and any other income that you might receive. And it's going to calculate all of your total income. Again, because it is Excel, it will populate itself. And then it'll leave you once you have your expenses, once you have minus your income, it's going to have an amount that's called amount available for debt. And again, this is for somebody who already has credit card debt, student loans, medical bills, any kind of debt that you need to pay somebody. So this is going to tell you what you have left. Once you've paid all of your bills, after the money you've received, this is what you have left to, for you. On the next step, we're going to calculate debt. And again, this is for somebody who has existing debt. We're going to put in our creditor information, which is who's the creditor? Do you owe Bank of America? Do you owe Chase? What do you owe? What's the balance on the account? And what is your monthly payment? So at the end here, it's going to calculate the total debt owed, which is the total of all of your balances, and then your total monthly payments. So let's say you have 3 credit cards and you're paying $100 to each of them a month. It's going to be $300 for your total monthly debt payments. But your bottom line is going to be the amount left over after you have your income minus expenses, paid off your debt, and then you have a bottom line. So now this little bottom line is what you have to cover anything else, okay? So, and I know this seems like a lot, but I think that when you get in the habit of doing this, and speaking to the younger students, I think you're not going to have credit cards. You're just going to have a few little bills here and there. But I think it's just creating that habit, right? At your age, to make sure that you're just accounting for things that are important to you, your expenses, you're accounting your income. And I like to tell people this is a great thing to do on a monthly basis. And even on a yearly basis, like I do a reset every January and see, okay, this is where I am this year. Like, what do I want to cut? And this will help everybody kind of see, man, am I paying too much to my cable bill? Am I spending too much on a cell phone bill? And you can see if it's gone up, what's gone down, and kind of make changes. So it's always a good place for you to be kind of checking in and seeing where you can cut some money. I do want to finish with providing some smart money management tips. Again, it's tracking expenses. It's so easy to spend every single day. But we got to track these things. Use cash for problem categories. Again, if it's the spending leaks like coffee and things like that, then it's, give yourself like a little amount of money that in cash. And once you run out, you run out. You can't tap in, you can't use a credit card, you can't use a Starbucks app, like that's it. Cut banking costs, look at credit unions versus banks, not for nothing, but there's a lot better deals and, less fees. There's just so many wonderful things that the credit union offers. And I really invite you all to check it out. If you aren't already a member, seek out coupons and, comparison shop online before you buy something. You guys, we are living in the best time. We can literally compare anything online, make sure that we're getting the best deal. And there's coupons, there's coupon codes, there's better days to buy things. So just wait, make a smart decision, set automatic payment transfers for your bills. So, and savings. So number 1, to your savings, it's going to be, painless. It's going to go right into a savings account and you're not even going to feel it. But the other thing is for bills. So if you have bills already, if you have a credit card bill or a card payment, make it an automatic payment. Sometimes you even get a deduction in your fee, maybe you'll get some type of discount for the payment, but always, make sure that you're on top of your bills. Now that we have that, I did want to go ahead, hold on one second, and get into the exercise. So this is a little bit of what Mad City Money is. Again, we don't have the time to go into a full-blown Mad City Money event, but this is when you're going to use the profile you should have received and the booklet. And it really is a financial reality exercise. Okay, so you're going to be transported into an adult future. Some of you might be married, have children, and you might have even accrued some debt at this point. But the objective today is to visit all of these different merchants, vendors, and our categories, make selections that are fit for you and for your family, because you might have children, track all your charges and make sure that you end the exercise with cash to spare. So one important thing I know that we don't do nowadays, many people don't, but you have a check register. And you're going to notice that the check register has spaces for you to put all of the different payments that you're making. It has a spot for you to make the amount, and if it's a debit or a credit. Okay, so you're going to be able to fill that out and keep track of where you are. In order to start the exercise, we're going to use the profile page, which is the About Me. The example is life as a police officer. So your monthly officer we have as $3,000. Your happens to be a lawyer, and so your spouse's occupation allows them to have a salary of $6,000. Okay, so between the two of you, you have $9,000 as your monthly income. Your credit score is 705. In terms of obligations, you have a student loan payment that you make monthly, that's $300. Medical insurance, that's a $400 fee for your entire family. You are in debt. You have $7,500 in debt, just about right? Every American almost on the average is about $6,000 or more. Yes, you have $7,500 in debt. And you happen to have 8-year-old twins. Congratulations. You have 2 daughters. Welcome to adulthood. Okay. So in order to start the exercise, we're going to go ahead and use that information, and you can look at my little key on the left, and it has what to take from where, right? So you take your take home salary, $3,000, take your spouse's salary of $6,000. Your total is $9,000. You're going to subtract your obligations. You're going to subtract the $300 for student loan payments. You're going to subtract the $400 for the medical insurance copay. And so that leaves you at a starting balance of $8,300. So this is what we're going to use to start the game today. So again, this is a check register. We're going to be taking note of all of these expenses. For those young people that are in high school right now, you might not have seen this. This is a check register. This is what we use to make sure that we're accounting for every expense coming out of our checking account. Hopefully you guys have done this with your teachers at school, but here's a little bit of info. Again, your expenses are going to be there where it says fee. Your income is money coming into your account. Okay, and then you're going to calculate, and you're going to have a balance after every transaction, and that's how we're going to know how much money you have in your account. The first vendor that we're going to visit is the credit union. Okay, and what do you do at the credit union? You're going to contribute to savings account, right? Because now that we know that that's a priority, we need to make that payment first. Also, here we have cost of to buy divided by the number of months. Again, this is something that we always like to say. So if you're saving for something, let's say you're saving for a car and you're giving yourself a whole year to save, and this is for obviously your first car, you're not going to invest a lot of money, and we're going to divide it by 12, and you're going to contribute a certain amount of money savings account every single month to make sure you arrive at that goal. The second thing you can do is pay off any credit card debt that you may have. So if we looked at the profile, we saw that this person has credit card debt. They have $7,500 in debt. So here they're going to put some money towards a credit card. With this example, and usually when we do it at the schools, we give them an example. So for example, this person had a 705 credit score. So with a 705 credit score, they pay about, let's see, 8% interest rate on that credit card. So they're going to get the total credit card debt times the qualifying interest rate that they get for their credit score. And that's going to give them a minimum credit card payment due. So that's going to be the first transaction that you do on your check register. Again, you can refer back to your profile so you can see what your credit score is. You can see what your balance is. But again, this is the formula that we use. This is not what the financial institutions use. This is what we use for the game. But it is a little bit of a wake-up call, because you do see, the lower the interest rate, the lower your interest, the lower your credit score is, the higher your rate is. So this gives you a very good example on how somebody who can owe the same money as you, they're going to be paying a lot more money if they have bad credit. And so this is just a little reminder of how important credit is and how that we need to take care of it. So this is the first vendor. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. Hopefully everybody has had time. Let me know if thumbs up if you were able to calculate it already. I can't really see everybody, but I will give you another minute. And again, use a balance that you owe on that credit card. You're going to use the credit score that I believe is 705. And again, it's a percent interest rate. So it's total credit card debt times your 8%. That'll give you your minimum credit card payment for the month. Okay. So this was the first vendor. This is the first thing. Again, it's priority, right? We got to pay off our debt. We got to contribute to our savings. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to real estate. Real estate is the next vendor. It's the next merchant. And here you have to select one housing choice that fits you and it fits your entire family, right? So it sounds amazing to buy a huge house or maybe a large apartment. But we got to look at our income. Can we afford it, guys? Is this something that is necessary right now? Are you starting out? Or even a small house. Let's say you want to stay with a small house, but can your twins, your spouse and the twins live there? Is enough space for your family? And it's important to really make sure that you're looking at everything that goes with it, right? So you have your mortgage, you have electricity and heat. For us, it's AC. We cannot live in South Florida without air conditioning. So we got to make sure that we're paying that. Water and sewer. There's home insurance that is included. If you're renting the property, there's renter's insurance. So these are things that we need to keep track of and make sure that whenever we're making a decision of where we're going to live, that it makes sense for us. The other thing is, and again, in Miami, it really depends, but I would say you can't be in Miami without a car. So let's think of proximity, right, to work. Is your home relative to work, gas prices. So these are just things that when we start approaching the different vendors, these are things to think about when making a decision. So again, here, take a look at the different options: large house, large apartment, a medium house, small apartment, a studio apartment, loft, or even a small house, and go ahead and make a selection. But remember that when you make the selection, you need to make sure that you have the mortgage extras, the electricity or the heat, the water and sewer, all these things you need to pay. So let's make sure that we're accounting for all of these different fees within the selection. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes here. Okay, let me know, thumbs up if we're doing okay. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat, and I can have Humberto and B kind of, watch them and let me know if we have anything immediate. Okay, we're gonna move over to the next one. So these are some additional services that usually go when you're selecting the real estate, right, where we're gonna live. And it's satellite and cable services, internet service. And I know that we used to look at these like a luxury, and I think, but now living in the COVID times, we know working from home, school from home, more than ever, the cable service and internet service is more important than ever. Internet service for sure, to have a good quality internet, making sure we can get on these Zoom calls, international calls for work, whatever you need to do, but make sure that we have this. And so take a look at the different selections. So for satellite and cable, there's an $80 monthly, $68 monthly, which is basic cable, $150 for premium cable. Again, you can have a DVR service for television, all of that stuff adds up. HD channels per TV. Again, there's the different quality of the internet service. And really, it's really, what's important. I think that every kid is like, oh, I'm going to have the fastest internet, but we have to understand that those are going to be the most expensive. So it's just take the time and make a selection. And again, all of this stuff is going to be updated. And so now we're in the eras of Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu and all these additional services that we're all paying for. But again, these are all additional expenses that go into our budget that we need to make sure that we're keeping track of. So here again, after you guys make a selection, we're going to move on to transportation. And again, I think this is super important for us to think about. I know that every time I go into the schools, the kids are like, oh, luxury TV, a luxury car. I am not going to be seen in that old car. There's no way. But then look at their expenses. They realize how expensive it is, right? And if you're going to take the public transportation, you do have to contribute to savings. Okay, so here we're going to select some transportation for yourself. Also select something for your spouse. Make sure that you're adding your insurance, you're adding gas and maintenance. Note your monthly payment is based on credit score. Again, this is where something you have to pay attention to the credit score, because if you see on the top, it says it provides you your interest rate that you're going to pay for these cars. So for example, if you have a lower score from 550 to 620, you're going to be on a little bit of a higher level, almost 12% interest. Now, if you have a better score, anywhere from 701 to 850, you're only about a 2% interest. And so you can see for the same car, you're going to be paying a lot more if you have a bad score or if you have a poor score. And again, poor scores don't change overnight. They take work, but it's, you can do it. You can better your score by being consistent and paying your bills on time. Minimizing the amount of credit that you use. If you have, $6,000, doesn't mean you need to have $6,000. You don't need to use all of it. Keeping it under 30% of what's available to you, making sure you have like 2 cards, don't be canceling cards and getting so many at the same time. There's just so many things we can do to better your score, but they definitely impact your monthly payments on credit card bills and even your monthly car payment. So after you've made a selection here, we can move on, but I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to review. And I do miss this part at the schools, because you get all the students, wanting, a brand new luxury car. And some of them are even the kind that say, okay, I'm going to drive the luxury car and my wife's going to take the bus. And I'm like, what? So, definitely, they're not prepared for how much these cars are going to cost. They don't think about it, but, there's 2 adults, you have 2 little girls, you have twin daughters that you need to, drive around, probably to soccer practice and softball practice. And so mom and dad need to both have cars that have space for them. So these are things that we need to account for. Again, I'm going to give you another minute. But once you've made your selection, make sure you're updating your check register, putting in your monthly fee, and then deducting it, and you're going to have a new balance on there. So please make sure that we're keeping track. But yes, your credit does matter, guys. So now we're going to be moving into everything food, right? Dining in or dining out. A lot of us have been dining in, and we know it's just as expensive. Uber Eats and all these different services, it's great, but we're going to be paying a premium for getting the food that we want to get at home. There's different varieties and different options here that we can select. They have some options as well for coffee. You don't need to do it. You can brew at home. And I think those are the little spending leaks that I'm talking about. Instead of getting your little hit at Starbucks, do it at home, enjoy some time earlier in the morning, maybe wake up a little earlier and get your coffee at home. But these are ways to cut costs. Again, you need to select 1 food option per person in your house. Select at least 1 eating out option. And again, there's different levels, right? So it's like a nice fine dining, medium cost food, low cost food. There's fast food. And again, you need to make the selections. But again, we need to be conscious of like how many times we eat out and what it costs, really, because it adds up.
So Cindy, once you have an opportunity to go through all of the categories, I'm just going to ask you to go back through them again.
I will.
Because we have a couple of students that didn't have an opportunity to select what they desired. So just wanted to ask you to do that. Thank you.
Yes, of course. It's hard because I cannot see, I just see the same 4 people. And so I can't see like a thumbs up, a question. So that's why please do write it on the chat. And that way Krista and her team can help us out and we can kind of revisit. But yes, when we do this event at school, we have a huge board. The students are very savvy. They go in, take a screenshot, go to the bench, work on their stuff, come back. But you should hear the stories that we hear, the selections. Like, I'm not going to eat out anymore. This is too expensive. We're only going to go to McDonald's. And they have a newfound respect for mom and dad, right? Like, oh my God. But definitely, you do want to splurge every now and then, if you work really hard and you have enough in your savings and you're doing good. But again, all of these things count. All right, I'm going to give you guys 1 more minute so we can move on. I don't want to take too much at each, so we can kind of go back and revisit. Okay, so we're going to move on to kid care. And again, in the profile that we received, we have 2, teenage daughters, I believe. I think they're 13 or 8. I can't recall. But if you look at your profile, you're going to see their age. But the students in the live event, then when we do it, they get a bunch of different profiles assigned to them. And so some of them have children, that are very small in age and they require formula, they require diapers, or childcare, right? I don't think you guys understand how expensive childcare is if you're paying for an early learning, situation, if you have them at a daycare, or even if you have mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, somebody's watching them for you. But everything adds up. Again, presents, books, toys for developmental, right? For your kids to hit these developmental milestones. You're going to have kids for their specific age. Books for their specific age, or toys. And all of this is, is expensive. It adds up. So it's important to know that Definitely formula is necessary for a child under a year old. Diapers are required for children 3 years and older. So these are why parents are rushing to potty train their kids and get them out of diapers. Clothing, again, all these things, there's different brand categories: brand name clothes, department store clothes, discount stores, used clothes. As a new mom or new dad, you're gonna want your kids to have something nice to wear. But again, it's so nice to take, hand-me-downs, maybe things that you wore or your friends' kids were. Again, kids grow so fast, and when they're so small and they grow out of things, that and you're gonna want to have nice things for nice events, but really, you're gonna be more choosy of where you're gonna spend your money. And again, childcare is a huge expense. It's something to look at, but it's the most important thing, right? Because your children are a priority, and you need to make sure that they're being, taken care of. Again, take a moment and look at the different selections. Again, for the profile that you guys received today, I don't think any of these apply, so we can move on, but it's something to think about. The next vendor is home decor and essentials. And we're going to need to select one from every single category. So here we have the first category. We're going to look at to see what clothing options we have. Whoa, 1 second. Sorry. Whoa. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So your first selection is going to be the different furniture, right? So it's either fine furniture at a super modern store, ordinary furniture, maybe a little bit more, better priced in sense of like a rooms to go, some hand-me-downs that you might get from your parents when you move out. Guys, when you first start moving out, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to look like a $1 million pad. It's not going to be the home of your dreams just yet. But it's just about making it your own. But everything costs, so we got to be smart when we're selecting these items. So from decorative, same thing, we have to make a selection there. For fine items, $100 a month. Nice purchases, $50 a month, or on sale purchases, $25 a month. So we're thinking like rooms to go. We're thinking like a Home Goods or a Ross or somewhere you can get something for a better deal. But all these things add up, right? If you're trying to make, your apartment or loft or something look nice, you're going to try to get something nice. But again, these things add up. So it's so important for us to pay attention of how much we're spending. Household needs, these are the things you really do need, right? Things to clean, towels to take a bath, plates, a toaster, blender, things that you need, essentials, plates, utensils. So please take a look at each of the categories within home decor and essentials and select one from each category. But again, all of these add up. If you choose the fine furniture, the fine items, the fine household needs, you're spending 125 plus another 100. You're spending a lot of money here. So let's make sure that we're making the best decision for your situation right now. So this person's a police officer and their spouse is a lawyer, so they have a decent income, but you have 2 kids. So make sure that everything is within your means, right? Once you make the selection, make sure that you're going onto your check register and that you're deducting that as a fee that's coming out of your checking account, and you're subtracting it from your balance. So you're going to have a new balance after you finish with this vendor. I'm going to give you another minute to take a look at these. And if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. And Krista, let me know if you see anything else.
I will say, Cindy, we have a lot of students who got really scared really fast that this was a test and that this was going to be graded.
Yeah, it definitely, and in person, I think that's why we miss so much being with the schools and the students, because you really see it. You see their faces kind of like a little bit in shock. Some of them will tell me like, I didn't plan on having kids. I didn't want 2 kids. Like, I can't afford this, or they'll tell me, I'll drive the nice car. My wife she'll take the bus. And it's like, it's not work that way. Is mom taking the kids to school? So that's what we miss. We love this event. It really is like an eye opener. We are looking to refresh it and update it with relevant things for today. Like I was talking about subscriptions to like Hulu and Netflix, because things like that nowadays we feel necessary, right? So they add on. And so it's just a good wake up call. I love when the booster clubs are present because some of the parents are there, right? So you see the kids like, oh my, freaking out. And the mom and dads are like, oh yeah. So it's important for them to know what they're going to face. And the reality is, high school is a blink of an eye. You're done before you know it, then you're in college, and then that's done before you know it too. So, it's just, it's here very, very soon and very fast. And I feel like before you get there, you really think about these things. I know I did not. So I think this is such a great time and a great experience for them.
Well, I'll tell you, Cindy, because of this event, I have a subscription to Jot form now that I'll have to remember to keep track of.
Well, that's the thing that, and I heard it somewhere. It's like to keep track of our different subscriptions, and that's the way they work now. So if you notice, even Adobe, Microsoft Word, they're all subscriptions now. So you're fine paying the $9.99 that first time, but then you forget you have it. So, it's important to look at your credit card statement and make sure you're looking at your things because you might no longer need them. It's okay to use it for a month and cancel it. So, a lot of these things are, buy it now, you're going to get a discount if you subscribe now for a whole year. You can cancel anytime, but then you just don't, right? So it's important to make sure that we're using all these things. And nowadays it isn't just that, but it's like, we're working out at home. Those of us who are working out, I am not working out, I'm going to be honest. But those of us who are working out at home, all of a sudden are subscribing to different apps, right? And those are additional things that we're purchasing. So it's just important to keep track of expenses in a very digital world, which is very challenging. So it's just kind of reformatting ourselves, our thinking of, do we really need that? And kind of going old school a little bit and kind of, less is more. And I think ultimately, it's not so much about what you're wearing, the clothes that you're wearing and anything, but it's kind of seeing that income and seeing that savings account grow. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to think. And it's going to grow and grow and grow if we contribute to save. And again, there's interest bearing accounts and it's just being informed. All right, guys, I'm going to move over to the next category, which is clothing and personal care. And I think this is like a favorite for high school students. Again, they go crazy. We go crazy in what we wear. Right now it's like what shoes, the latest shoes or the latest trends, a nice book bag or a nice purse. And again, all these things add up. So, look at the different categories and they have a monthly amount per person. So they have low price items at a discounted store, used clothes, highly priced clothes at a high-end specialty store, medium priced clothing at a department store like a Macy's. And I know it's nice to look nice, but trends come and go. So I always talk about sticking to staples, use things that work for you and different pieces that you can kind of put together. So you have like a nice wardrobe, but it's, it's something consistent and not trendy, and not fast fashion, that ends up in the garbage and adding to the issue that we have with garbage. But not going into that topic, but again, I think of things that'll last you a long time. Invest in pieces that you can reuse. Personal care is another one. Again, you need deodorant or shaving cream, your perfumes, a lot of these things are high end. So we got to think of what we're charging or what they're charging us for them. For females, for haircuts or nail appointments, eyebrows, all these things, right now to keep up, I feel like there's such a huge pressure. Especially with social media. And so it's important to kind of do what works for you, keep it clean, keep it natural, try to see where you can save money, however you can. But again, all of these things add up. So whatever you can do yourself, you can do your own nails. Guys, in quarantine, I think people have learned how to do just about anything. And so do your best, try to cut costs. But yes, make a selection here. And I'm going to give you guys another couple minutes so we can make one here. And if we are good, you guys can do like a thumbs up. Yeah, awesome. Okay. The next one is entertainment. So this is like the one that everybody kind of wants to. And again, this is post-COVID days, guys, or before COVID, pre-COVID, okay? When we could actually go and enjoy a nice theme park or go to the zoo without being scared, or the movies or bowling. There's a bunch of different things that we can do. We need to select 2 activities per person that are aged 2 and older. So in this situation, we're going to select one for you, your spouse, and your 2 daughters. Again, one of the activities can be free. So there's so many things we can do that don't cost us anything, like dominoes, reading a book, riding your bike that you already own. And it's important to remind ourselves that not everything needs to be, it doesn't need to be super expensive to do, or, it's not worthy of an Instagram post. Because I know that right now it's, again, the social pressure right now. But there's just so many things that we can do for a family with children. You can get a monthly pass, a yearly pass at the zoo or the aquarium. Again, going to the beach, do like a picnic, right? Get some food and take it to the picnic. And it's just as nice as, going somewhere else that might cost you a lot of money. Hosting a dinner party, again, right now with COVID, I wouldn't say it probably maybe is the best time. But again, these are ways to save money, guys. And I think that your generation is doing a little bit of a better job in that sense. In terms of like hosting things more at home. And so I think those are ways to go. Again, it's getting deals. So again, a yearly subscription to the zoo, Maybe it's not going to the movies, but maybe it's getting like an app at home. So finding ways to save, right? Because anytime you go to the movies, it's going to cost you a lot. So it's just kind of making better decisions and seeing what you already have at home and enjoy yourself another way. So let's take some time to look at the different options. And once you make a selection, make sure to put it on your check register and deduct it from your balance and then adjust the new balance. And again, all this is really is kind of opening your eyes to how much things really cost also, and to getting to the habit of following up on your check register and making sure you're okay to cover that expense. But yes, just think of a regular month of how many things you do with your family. You have an event this weekend and then next weekend, and you want to go to the movies with your friends. Like all of this adds up. And so really is, I know everybody wants to have a nice time and, and plan and enjoy your weekends or even the evenings, but let's, we can find ways to do it, without spending so much money. Okay, you guys give me a thumbs up if we're good to go. Awesome. Michelle Perez, I am relying on you. I see your thumbs up. Okay, our next one is wants. So this one always is like the big deal because everybody's like, of course I want a brand new TV or a new camera or a new sound system. Of course, the new PS5, whatever it is, the latest cell phone or the nicest computer. And we understand, right? So from here, you have to select from the following, make a purchase. But also we're asking you to make a charitable contribution. And the same way, that we are kind of choosing and working hard and saving some money, we do want to help others around us. And everywhere where you go, really, there's some kind of organization saving money or for a charity. And I think it's always good to give back. And again, look around the different options, make a selection, and then take it off again, the check register. But this one is always a big deal at the schools. Miss West, everybody's kind of like, I want a boat. And it's like, can you afford a boat? I don't know, it's just a huge expense. Or the latest game system, a lot of people just, a lot of kids just think that it's just, but I want it, but can we afford it? And this is why mom and dad need a plan for Christmas throughout the entire year, or birthdays throughout the entire year. So that way it's not such a big hit when that comes, right? And that way we have enough money in savings for Christmas, but we also have savings for emergencies. And again, this is why it's so important to save, because we do want to treat ourselves. We work hard, right? Your spouse is a lawyer, you're a police officer, you guys work really hard, and ultimately you want to have nice things, but it takes a lot of work and savings to get there. So take some time, look over the selections. And again, once you've made your selection, go onto your check register, deduct it, and give yourself your new balance. And remember that we have the idea is to end this activity with some money in our account. And so if we've made mistakes, let me know. We can go back. I know Krista had already mentioned to revisit the other vendors. And so we'll go back and I'll give you a couple minutes there. But if we're good to go on this slide, Michelle, are we good? Awesome. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, life happens. So in this event, we usually do it in person. We call it Fickle Finger of Fate. And so we have a student passing out these little cards that say, good news, your so-and-so left you $100, or grandma send you $100 for your birthday. Deposit that money into your checking account. Or you have an unfortunate event like this one. If you have a sudden emergency and you had to pay $5,000 to replace your AC unit, are you going to be able to afford it? Like something big happens, right? And are you ready? Are you able to afford it? And the truth is that, as we noticed in the beginning, many Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency, much less a $5,000 one. And so this is why it's so important to have money in your savings account. In your booklet, you do have space for this life happens, Fickle Finger of Fate moment. But since we're not in person, we're not doing this today. But it's important to look at everything you've already spent, look at your balance and think about it. Can you afford a big emergency right now? Many people are going to say no, because we're not prepared, right? But hopefully we've gone through this presentation, you've learned some tips, and you're able to say, you know what, savings are priority for me. I'm not going to end up in this situation. And when this situation arrives, we're going to be prepared and we're going to have enough money to go ahead and pay for that. Krista, is it okay if I go back now? Perfect. I'm going to go all the way to the beginning, which is the credit union. I'm not sure if we had anybody waiting here. Do you know the categories that they had to go back to?
I'm checking, one moment, please.
Okay.
It says, can you go back?
Cindy, in addition,
Go ahead,
they
please.
had a question about whether this is for a Word document or the Excel. Isn't it for both?
So no, so the Excel is for you guys to do at home. That one is something that won't, like, it's part of the first exercise. That's why I was trying to explain it in the beginning. So with this one, it's going to be the Word document. That's that booklet, and it has the different categories. Every single category that we visited has a little section in which you need to fill out what your selection is. But ultimately, even if you don't have that, let me know what category you're missing. And really what you need to do is make a selection and then put it on the check register. On that booklet, the last page has a check register that looks like this, like a little balance sheet like this. And what you're going to do is put your date. And again, we're not in person. So in the actual event, you guys get a little checkbook. So you're going to have a number on it and you're going to give that check to that vendor. But because we're not in person and we're virtual, we're just going to write what the date of the event, which is today. You're going to put the transaction description. So you're going to put entertainment, you're going to put food, clothes, you know, whatever it is, the category. Then you're going to put the amount of money for the selection that you've chosen. And again, you're going to put it's either an expense or it's an income. So again, it's going to be an expense. All of these are going to be expenses. We have the income spot for it for somebody who gets, for example, for number one, your initial deposit, which is your starting balance, and also for anybody who gets a windfall. So let's say, remember how I said, Michelle, congratulations, it's your birthday and your grandmother sent you $100. That's when you would put it in the deposit section. But for every other expense that we visited today, every vendor, you're going to put it in the fee section, which are all of your expenses. And as we move on from each vendor, you're going to be recalculating that balance because that's the point. We're going to need to see where we are at the end of this and see if we have money left in our account. Would we be able to handle an emergency? And that's really the test today, is really did we arrive at this stage in the game with enough money to handle an emergency, or do we have any money left? And hopefully we do, but many times we get students that, went a little wild and they selected the most expensive options at every single vendor. And then we end up with not enough money. And so they have to kind of go back to the vendor and kind of make a different decision.
Cindy, there's a request in the box to go back to number 4.
Okay, so this was going to be transportation. And again, the important thing to note in transportation is that you're using your credit score again. So I believe for the profile, it was a 705. And so you're going to be with a 2.99 APR. And again, you need to select transportation for you and for your wife. Make sure that you're adding the insurance, the gas, and the maintenance that's included in the selection. So for example, for the new SUV, it's going to be it's going to be your $539 for the payment, but then you're going to need to have insurance that's $150, and you're going to need to pay $240 in monthly gas. And again, it's a luxury SUV, right? A new SUV, so it might be premium gas, which is why it's so expensive. Repairs are under warranty. That's what you get with a new car. But if you have an old car, you might not get, expense. I mean, the warrant. I mean, any warranty, and you have expenses or maintenance that you need to do, and those are out of pocket.
I'm not sure they mentioned it. Would someone ask to go to number 2, 3, and 4?
Okay, so 2 is going to be real estate. And again, each selection has its individual expenses. So for example, you have your large apartment, for example, that has a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's a $1,200 fee, like the monthly rent, but there's extras. So knowing that we're in South Florida, you're going to need to pay electricity. Number 1, you need to have power. You need to have AC. Water and sewer is included, so it's $0 there. But then you have your optional personal possession insurance. So when you're renting, it's important to have renter's insurance. God forbid you get broken into or something happens. Let's say there's a flood or a leak from the tenant above you. You need to make sure that all of your items are protected, right? You're going to spend money on all these nice furniture and all these nice things at home, but we need to make sure that they're all protected. So let's look at the medium house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Your $1,300 monthly mortgage. And then again, you need to pay for electricity, water and sewer, and you have home insurance is covered in the mortgage. And again, each of the different selections have different things. If there is any specific question on something, please let us know in the chat and we can make sure that we answer. Krista, can we move on to another category?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna
It
move
was
on.
2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so this is 3, which is kind of part of the real estate, but it's called additional services. And again, it's the cable service, internet service, and we need to make a selection here. And again, we have, watching local channels on with an antenna. I don't think any of you do, and that's free. Even basic cable was almost $70, guys, and premium cable is $150, if not more. Ask mom and dad how much they're paying for cable. It is very expensive, and I know you think it's a necessity, but it's not. But it is very pricey. And I know that some of them have DVR services for your TV. If you don't have HD, my God, it's like poor quality. So it's like right now we got to think about this, but it's very pricey. And I don't have this on this sheet, but when we update it, it's going to have like the Disney Pluses and the Hulus and the Netflix, because all that's additional services, right? Even Spotify, music, like there's an app for everything. So you guys, like we got to be paying attention to how much we're spending, and keeping track, because again, it's so easy to have all these subscriptions, and we got to pay attention. And internet service, we might have started off last year with a very, very poor service, low, but have ended with a very fast speed, because now mom and dad are working from home or kids are doing remote learning. And so we have to have better service. Please take a look at the different selections. And again, once you've done this selection, we need to go to our check register and update it. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is transportation. We had already visited that one. This is going to be dining. Again, we need to make one food option selection per person, for the food option, and then another one for the eating out option. So please, let's take a look at the different options that we have for the two. And then again, coffee is optional. And this is one that I always talk about as a spending leak, which is a really good one to cut, just because it's so popular with everybody and it ends up being such a big cost. Let me know if there's any questions for this one. But again, you have here, like for example, medium cost foods, $200 monthly per adult or $100 monthly per child. And again, this applies for any kids that are age 2 and older. And since we have twins that are older than that, we got to make sure that we're putting something for the kids to eat as well. Eating out at a fast food restaurant, $7 per person. But again, per visit, this adds up. And knowing how McDonald's and Burger King, all these places, yes, it's probably a more inexpensive option, but they do add up. It's not necessarily the best thing for you. So we're going to make some better choices, and try and maybe look at some lower cost food options that might be a little healthier. But again, we got to be paying attention to all the different expenses. And again, you're going to notice it, the healthier option it is, a little bit pricier it is. So it's got to be a balance. And definitely you're going to see the price increase when you're eating at a nice restaurant versus somewhere fast food. Are we good to go with this one? Okay. I'm going to be moving on to the next one. And again, this one, nobody should have had any issues with, just because our profile that we had for today didn't have kids of that age. So the next one is home decor and essentials. And let me know if anybody needed a little bit more time here. Home decor and essentials. We need to select one from each of the categories. And this one is the one that I feel it's a little bit like pricey. But again, and this is if we buy one thing, and imagine, usually you buy many things. So it adds up. I really challenge you guys to be like bargain hunters, to find like dupes, right? We call them dupes, like an expensive look for less, because really, some things that are trends, don't last very long. Make sure that you're sticking to the essentials, and really stay within your means. Okay, if we're okay, I'm going to move on to the next one to give somebody an extra couple of minutes in the next category, which is clothing and personal care. And here again, they need to select one clothing option and one personal care. And we have it separated by male and female. But again, all of this stuff adds up. Okay. The next one is entertainment. And here's where we have a little bit more options. And again, you need to select at least 2 activities per person, 2 and older. So select 2 for each person in your household, which is yourself, your spouse, and each of your daughters. And only one of the activities can be free. So we have from the free ones, we have strawberry picking. We have reading a book or riding a bike. Or playing dominoes you might have at home, or a board game that can be the same thing as a board game. That's something that you might already have at home. But if not, we need to make the other selections, which are, they do have prices. But again, depending on your income and where we are in terms of your balance, you can look at the more inexpensive options, like maybe going bowling or going to the movies, or even going just to the beach, your entire family, and only worrying about paying for parking. So these are the things we need to look at. Again, they vary, and really maybe every month can differ, right? Maybe you choose to kind of, stay home for a couple of weeks, but then maybe you have an outing once a month, and that's where you kind of spend the majority of that disposable income for your event that month.
So I know that we are, we have surpassed our hour, but we are, if you all just give us maybe about 10, 15 more minutes, we'll be able to wrap this up. We thank you for your patience and, the fact that you guys are really engaged in this presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Krista. Okay, so about another minute here, and then we can move on. I just want to make sure you guys had enough time to go through them. And again, I'm sorry, usually in person, we do have much more time, but I did want to go over that first part of the presentation with you, because I think there's so many things there for you to kind of keep in mind, and tricks to kind of do, and that way you can incorporate them, and again, this allows you to kind of do a better job when you get to this point and have all of these different vendors and have to make selections. All right, guys, let's move on then from entertainment. And again, this is wants. This is going to be kind of like your big ticket items. A sound system, a digital camera, you have a brand new television, a computer, the latest cell phone, a boat for for whoever can afford to purchase a boat. But again, you got to keep in mind, all of these things have different, price points. And they have different things that go with them, right? So, maybe a digital camera, you're going to save for it. So you're going to have a $40 a month fee. You're going to have a gaming system that's about $17 a month if you break it down, like the price of it throughout the year. A boat has a monthly payment for sure. You're financing the boat. You have to pay for gas and maintenance, right? The television you have there. So again, it's like about $67 for the pricier, the larger television, maybe a little bit less, $30 for the 32-inch. But it's free if you stay with the TV you already have. So again, there's a different options here. Make a selection and always go back to your check register and make sure you're tracking it, make sure you're deducting it from your balance. And then we'll find out where we are and make sure we've covered all of our expenses and we still have some cash in there. Does anybody have any questions on wants or need any more time? If you do, you can put it in the chat. No? Okay, so then this is it. And again, we ended up with the Life Happens. Hopefully everybody has had enough time to kind of go through all of the different merchants. I'm hoping you guys have some money left in your account. And I just really appreciate having time with you all. Please, I would love to have some Q&A. I know that we are a little over, but first of all, I'm just really happy that you guys, so many of you were on the call today. I really, to see over 100 participants and it feels like you guys are really engaging with this, makes me happy. I honestly love to talk about this stuff. And so for me, I appreciate your time and I know it's late. But if you guys have any questions on the chat, you can feel free to put them in the chat and we can respond. If I just don't want to take too much time of your time, but please let me know if you have any additional questions. And again, here I'm going to put my information. Again, the credit union is the Educational Federal Credit Union, brand new EdFed. You can see our colors and our logo on Krista's background, Umberto's and B's. We're very proud of this new brand and new logo. We love the colors, what it means to us. it's really, we're bound to the educational community. We really are here for you. So whatever we can do, we're proud to be here and on this call today. Please, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Krista, do you see anything on the chat?
I do. There was one student that asked how many community service hours do we receive today? I believe that Ms. West stated in the beginning that you will receive a certificate of attendance, participation, something to that effect. We're unfortunately unable to actually provide community service hours for this type of event, but we do have something special for you. Cindy, I need you to ask the question. We want to find out what balance they have. How much money do they have left? And
Yes.
once we know that, then we'll share a little something with you.
Oh,
So we're going to ask you to
okay.
put it in the chat. Let us know
Yeah.
how
let
much
us know.
money you have left.
So while you're writing that in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, that certificate of attendance will have an hours on it. The reason we can't grant you the community service hours is because every school is different. So you take that certificate of attendance back to your school, and if they will accept it, they will grant you your community service hours. I'm hoping that our major attendees here, Ferguson, Robert Morgan, and Mast at Homestead will do so. We actually also have some attendees from Varela, and if you've not filled out the JOT form, I will post it one more time in the chat box when we're done looking at our totals.
Wow. So many of you have a good amount of money in there. Very proud. That means that the majority of you were listening to the beginning of this presentation, which makes me really happy.
So my question, I do have a quick question for Brandon. $2,731. Did you buy anything? What did you do? Tell us your secret.
I just went with the cheapest options.
Oh.
Smart man, smart man. Did you have a family? Did you have any children? Were you married?
Yeah.
Okay, did you feed your family?
I don't think so.
He's rolling through the farm share every weekend.
I love, actually that works. That's a smart plan.
Yeah. And listen, again, like something like that, if you're really trying to save something or you're going through a tough time, I think you can also put yourself in that position and kind of cut majorly some expenses, save for a long time. Many of us adults have gone through the time that you start off your first job and you're making peanuts and you gotta like do the work, save some money. And then, as you grow in your career, then you can kind of do a little bit more, right? But you're gonna start maybe with the hand-me-down furniture, hand-me-down clothes. And there's no shame in that, in every position, in every state of life. And sometimes you start from scratch all over again, even being an adult. And that's why you gotta, stick to what you've learned today, about saving, making it a priority. And I think that that's just going to take you far. Make sure that you're budgeting for yourself. This isn't a competition amongst anybody else. This is all you. This is what you put into your account. Invest in yourself. And you're going to be the only one worrying about you and how you can afford to live the life that you want. But again, I just appreciate you guys' time. I really do. I'm so happy to see so many of you on here. I love that you guys, the majority of you had a good amount of money left. And it's all about, staying within your means, and working hard and continue to save and continue to learn. We learn all the time. I still learn constantly. And I learn about stocks and things like that because that interests me. I'm not an expert in that, but again, like you try to continue to learn and about what's the best way, or maybe what are these new apps to save, or finding information about other things that you want to learn and investing. But I think I invite you to reach out to me if you have any questions. It's Cindy Reyes. The new email is at edfed.org, but at sfefcu.org still works. But I just thank you so much for having me today, Ms. West. I appreciate all of you guys' time. I know it's late, But I just so happy to see so many of you. Thank you, Michelle, for my thumbs up tracker, Michelle Perez. But I just appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Krista.
Chris, I
And
know, sorry,
Krista,
Chris,
you
I
have
didn't want
one
to cut
more
you off.
question to ask really quick, Sandra, and then I'm gonna Miss West. And then I
Go
just
ahead.
want to ask Anna Rishova.
Yes.
Okay, what did you do? You saved $5,534. What did you do?
Okay, so I combined mine and my spouse's income, and then you just bought like the medium priced stuff.
Excellent, very smart, very, very smart. So on behalf of Educational Federal Credit Union, and because we have an amazing partnership with Miami-Dade County Council, PTA-PTSA, we are going to give Brandon, Anna, and Michelle Perez each a $25 Amazon e-gift card for being great savers and doing a great job in this presentation. And Michelle, for being our thumbs up person and your active participation. Thank you all so very much. If the three of you can drop your email in the chat, or I can get that from Ms. West, we will send that out to you. Thank you all so much on behalf of Educational Federal Credit Union for being here tonight. We hope you learned something. We are here. Tell your teachers, they can invite us to your schools and we can do something like this in your school. But we are here. We are your financial institution. If you do not already have an account with Educational Federal Credit Union, reach out to us. One of my team members will put our email address in the chat, which is memberoutreach@edfed.org. We are here for you. We're also drop our telephone number in the chat. Anything you need, your credit union is here to assist. Thank you all again.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here this evening. We hope you found this interesting. I will email out your certificates of attendance. Do not start emailing me at 7 in the morning. Give me a chance, okay, guys? I will have them out this week, I promise. Also, if you haven't had the chance, please make sure you fill out that job form. I will shut it down after the meeting this evening. If you have any suggestions for topics, feel free when I email you to write me back and say, you know, we would really like to learn about this. I know there was some questions about scholarships, where to get scholarships, how to get through college without being in debt. If that is a hot topic for you guys, I will definitely seek some resources to bring that to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening.
Thank you,
Thank
Miss. Have a good
you.
day.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Night.
Have a nice day. Midnight.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. It was nice meeting all of you.
You too. Take care. Stay safe.
Also, Ms. West, while they're exiting,
Yes.
if you would like us to, we have a great relationship with Sally Mae. We have a scholarship tool actually on our website now that has over 2,200 scholarships that are there that the students can, use that tool to search scholarships that are available for them or that they're qualified for. And we can, we'd love to have a Sally Mae rep to kind of talk to the kids if that's something you'd like.
I think that would be a really great idea because the early comments before we got started was all about college and scholarship and trying to be debt-free when they were done.
Absolutely. So we can work on that. Just give me a couple of date options. I'll reach out to our Sally Mae rep and we can schedule that for you.
I currently have May 18th free for Topic Tuesday.
Okay.
And the
You
cool
know
thing
you're gonna
about
have to
that,
send me an email to remind me.
I will. And the cool thing about that, Krista, is the following week is our live scholarship awards at
Okay,
school board building.
excellent. Okay,
So it would run hand in hand.
excellent.
All right.
Wonderful.
And I see
Thank you,
Mr.
Sandra.
Diaz is still with us this evening. Couple of people wondering what our next topic's going to be. All right, have a great night.
All right,
Thank you so
too.
much
Thank
for
you.
everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.